Welcome back into the bullpen. Hello, everybody. We're back. It's after the Super Bowl, and we're going to talk a little bit about that. The usual suspects here in the bullpen, Brandon, Evan, JP, Dan. Let's talk about that Super Bowl. Let's start with JP. JP, your boy Cam, had a bit of a struggle on Super Sunday. What were your takeaways from the game, bud?
Let's say the team. More importantly, the offense. If we want to call our names, Ted Ginn, Philly Brown, and whoever else decided to drop the ball. The two fumbles by the running back was terrible. The offense just didn't show up. I mean, granted, Cam didn't have the best game ever, but, I mean, every time they got close, something bad happened. And I just don't understand how Ted Ginn reverted back to Ted Ginn Junior Varsity and just forgot that he has two hands and not two wooden paddles. Like, it was tough to watch.
Yeah, I mean, it was across the board. I don't think you could put it on Cam. I don't think you could put it on any one particular player. I think everyone kind of dropped the ball, literally. In Ted Ginn's case, he had 10 targets and only got 4 passes. And, they had some key plays that they just didn't make, and obviously that killed them.
Brandon, what were your takeaways?
Yeah, well, Denver's defense is freaking awesome.
Yeah, legit.
That's, yeah, I mean, we all kind of thought that if the Panthers showed up, they were going to win that game, and they didn't. They didn't even show up really defensively, to a certain degree. Like, I thought they would get a lot more takeaways from Peyton Manning, and I know Coney Ealy made that ridiculous one-handed interception, but that was pretty much it. Kuechly made a few plays, but nobody else really on that defense really made plays like you kind of expected them to.
Well, Norman dropped his 2 opportunities. They should have both been picks.
That's what I'm saying. Their defense didn't make.
But they only had 9. They only gave up 9 points going into the fourth quarter when the offense wasn't helping them out. So I feel like the defense played well. It's just that did absolutely nothing.
Well, that's what we kind of talked about all year, is that how is this offense working without any real receiving core? And when they went up against a defense that...
Which we said last time was the best defense they were going to see, or they saw all year.
Right. Yeah, absolutely, and that clearly showed again. I mean, when they went up against a secondary that had all the tools to stop them, they weren't going to perform as the way we'd seen them perform earlier in the postseason.
I mean, but like those dimes, Jericho Cotchery, everything was like hitting him in the chest. He let Von Miller rip. I mean, granted, Von Miller is a silverback himself, and he played arguably the best game of his life. I mean, he's unblockable. He was unstoppable. So shout out to Von Miller for literally winning Peyton Manning a championship. But, I mean, Jericho Cotchery had a touchdown. Any other receiver would have caught that and stepped into the end zone. And you just let him rip the ball from you at, like, the very last second. It was just a terrible offensive performance by that squad.
So what does this mean for Carolina now? They obviously they were touted as the best team in the league all year. Well, arguably with say New England and Denver. But what does this say for them? What do they have to do here in the offseason?
They need some skill play. They need running backs. I mean, granted, they could use 2 new offensive tackles, but I mean those guys held up pretty well all season. Granted, they hadn't seen Von Miller all year, but like they need some running backs. Mike Tolbert clearly is not the answer. Jonathan Stewart's getting old. Although he did ball, he leaped into the end zone. I mean, he showed extreme vert. But they need wideouts. Like they need wideouts
they'll have
terribly
Kelvin Benjamin
bad.
coming back.
Who also had shaky hands in his rookie season. So like they need to find some standout
touchdowns,
wideouts.
I think his rookie year too. So, like I mean, you got to get into the red zone to kind of use Kelvin Benjamin. But yeah, their only real free agent that they're going to lose is probably Norman. So for the most part, they're going to have that team back and intact. But it's just going to be like it's all going to revolve around Cam, like as it did this year, and it's going to revolve around him again next year.
And Norman's going to get paid. He only made 1.5.
Yeah, Norman's going to get paid. Yeah, despite his 2 drops in the Super Bowl. So, yeah, it'll be all on Cam's shoulders, and we'll see how he responds. After the post Super Bowl stuff, and
we could get into that too. But
yeah, I mean, he's he doesn't like to lose. I mean, I said it was a bad look. I didn't disagree with the move. I thought it was a bad look for him. But
and it's hard when you got Chris Harris on the other side of a curd ring.
Yeah, but if you can't take a guy, you're saying, I don't think you can throw the ball. Well, Chris Harris wasn't wrong.
Yeah.
He couldn't throw the ball in that game.
Not in that game.
So if you can't take that kind of stuff, like that's not a good sign. Like if teams are like, okay, all we got to do is hit him a couple of times, rattle him a bit, which is not easy to do, and not a lot of teams are like the Denver Broncos to do it. But if you do that and then you talk a little bit in his ear, you might get him off his game. So, I mean, I'm not saying that's going to happen, but that doesn't exactly bode well maturity-wise.
Any concerns on that, on not going for the fumble recovery?
No.
Do you think that was just a fluke?
He flat out came out and said that he didn't want to go down there because he didn't want to get hurt.
In the moment, it looked bad. Right after, it kind of looked bad. When you heard his explanation.
He would have to jerk
look where the
knee.
ball ended up.
No, there's no doubt. That was a big story, especially during the game.
I think everybody was like, oh, he should have jumped on that. And there are a lot of quarterbacks who probably would jump on that ball. But, in the grand scheme of things, like, who knows? He could have gotten hurt, but, I mean, I can sit here and say that if that's me, like, I'm going to jump on the ball. But I'm also not, I don't get paid the kind of money that Cam does in endorsements and all that kind of stuff. So,
on the Broncos side of the ball, obviously the big storyline will be Peyton Manning's future.
Who did absolutely nothing.
I know. He really didn't in that game. And I was just so happy that at the end it was like Von Miller got the MVP.
Oh, yeah.
Peyton Manning was
that
gracious.
we didn't see.
I'm going to go drink some Bud.
Yeah.
But on the Broncos side of the ball, I assume we'll talk about the Peyton Manning and what the future of the Broncos is when he officially announces his retirement or he's departing. But at this point, there was a little bit of controversy surrounding the Broncos. Evan, what was the story here on this?
Yeah, apparently the replay official who works Super Bowl 50, his wife is a very big Broncos fan now. I think this really only matters for the people out there who be like, oh, a guy's actually going to be influenced by who his wife cheers for and have it inhibit his ability to do his job. I don't think that would really be the case. But
do you find yourself rooting for the Padres?
No, I don't find myself rooting for the Padres because my fiance's a Padres fan, especially when the A's play them, and then we beat them all 4 games last year. So, or at least the 2 that we saw in San Diego. But no, I would never let that happen.
I'm just kidding. But I mean, you have to think that there's no way.
The funniest part of the story. Look who the link is from. It's from Boston. The only people that care about this story and that care that the fix is in is the most spoiled fan base out there that thinks everybody's out to get them and thinks that they're like it's a non-story, but it's funny to laugh about.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you guys. I doubt it. I very much doubt it. But if you go back to my theory from last time, if conspiracy theories hold and everything worked out exactly as it should.
I did think
Peyton
that first overturn was a catch, though. Like, I was adamant about that.
But like that wasn't even close. Like the ball didn't touch the ground. If everybody at home is watching it and the guys in the booth don't understand, it's just getting ridiculous. It's dumb.
Like, you have to keep the ball 1 inch off the ground for it to be a catch now. Like, that's essentially what you have to do.
Yeah.
I mean, he shouldn't have bobbled it in the first place, but it was obvious that he caught it. And they're like, the call on the field
stands.
He had his hand
on it the whole time.
Yeah.
And it was a snowball effect all downhill after that.
Yeah.
Super Bowl 50 had a few players on display from the same draft, in fact. And Brandon, you brought this up. This 2011 NFL Draft 1 and 2 were in this game for sure.
Think about how ridiculous that 2011 draft is.
Go ahead.
With Cam 1, Von Miller 2. So you had the MVP, the Super Bowl MVP. You had the Defensive Player of the Year that was picked 11th, J.J. Watt.
Mm-hmm.
Arguably 2 of the top 5 wide receivers currently in the NFL, A.J. Green and Julio Jones.
144.
Marcel Darius, who's no slouch, and he's going to get paid from the Bills. Patrick Peterson.
Yep.
Despite his off-field troubles, Aldon Smith can still get after the passer.
Blaine Gabbert, number 10.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Like, if you're looking high here, the only ones who really struck out were the Titans, Jaguars, and Vikings here early
Christian
on.
Ponder.
Yeah.
But then you go even down way to the bottom.
Tyron Smith, probably one of the best tackles in football
9.
right now.
Right.
Ryan Kerrigan, unblockable.
Yeah.
Like, off the edge
That's
there.
crazy.
He was taken 16th.
But if you go all the way to the bottom and work your way up even, you've got Jason Kelsey, who's a solid lineman in the Eagles.
Richard
he was 191.
was a
Shiloh.
fifth-round pick.
Yeah.
Richard Sherman, Shiloh Keogh contributed for the Broncos this year. Tyrod Taylor was picked 180. He's now doing all right in Buffalo.
Andy Dalton, Randall Cobb.
Julius Thomas was the 4th round.
Justin
pick.
Houston and DeMarco Murray were back-to-back picks in the 3rd round. And Chris Harris was an undrafted free agent out of this class, so I think he technically qualifies. Who might be one of the best cover corners in all of football. But just like looking at it right
That's
now,
crazy. Yeah.
like this
When you look at the list.
draft, outside of those 3 teams, sorry, Titans, Jaguars, and Vikings fans. I hated that pick from the get-go. I cursed the skies when we drafted Ponder. But, yeah, I just thought it was kind of funny to play off the Super Bowl aspect of it.
while the game was going on, Marshawn Lynch tweeted out a photo of a pair of shoes hanging from a power cable or a power line or whatever. It sounds like he's telling his close friends that he's going to retire. What do you guys think? Is this a mistake at this point? Should he retire? Are we done? His body's done.
If someone didn't know he was from Oakland, they figured it out.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, based on that.
The shoes on the power line. But no, some people also said, well, maybe this just means he's leaving Seattle. I think he's got to be done, for a career. He's just he's beat up. He's not what he used to be anymore. I think he knows that, obviously.
He's probably tired of having to deal with the media aspects
tired
of it.
with all the crap that comes with being a professional football player. And there was talk this week, too, that he apparently hasn't spent any of his playing money, which would be remarkable.
$40-something million.
Because he's got a big house in Oakland near the water.
Well, all those endorsements, if you live off your, you live off your endorsement checks, you don't have to spend your regular NFL paycheck.
That's the thing. How many things has he really endorsed? Sorry, he's got the Pepsi commercial he just did recently.
Skittles.
Obviously Skittles, but that's really about it. It's not like
that we know of.
Yeah,
he probably could have some local stuff, pop up in Seattle that we don't know about.
He's probably got, I'm assuming he's a Nike guy, right, too?
Yeah, I'm sure he makes money on the side of that. Yeah.
And some of that will continue after he's
he
done.
Patented beast mode.
Yeah, exactly.
So
there'll never be another.
He's tight.
Yeah, he's okay. But yeah, I think if this is it, good for him. He's going out on his terms. He's got himself a Super Bowl. He arguably
could have had 2.
Yeah.
Could have.
Yeah, Peter.
Hand the ball. From a divisional standpoint, good riddance.
Oh, you're elated, huh?
Yeah. He wasn't too effective this year, obviously, but we weren't either, so it didn't really matter.
Until Thomas Rawls gashes you for 140 and 2 tubs.
And like I said, I think the Seahawks might be better off in terms of, I think their offense, was way better when Marshawn went down and they didn't have to worry about giving the ball to him 20, 25 times a game. So
Marshawn potentially retiring. As I said, good riddance. ESPN ESPN put out a list today, kind of a fun one. We'll go through a few of these. They said
this was great, by the way.
What were the next 25 Super Bowl winners? Who would those be? Okay, and they just started right with let's go through just a few. I'll just jump on them. Next year, supposedly the 49ers are going to beat the Patriots.
All right, it's pretty much done.
But it gets better.
It's very satirical.
We'll just jump to 55. 55 is the San Diego.
We're going to skip 53? The lone Vikings Super Bowl title that we're going to get here?
All right, that's another reason you know it's fake.
I know, exactly.
Yeah, the Redskins not in here. Sorry, JP. I looked for them. The Vikings, yes, to win over the Colts in Super Bowl 53. In this, though, Adrian Peterson was traded, and Minnesota received 7 draft picks from Dallas.
We got the revenge on Dallas for the Herschel Walker deal.
This is all satirical stuff.
Also pouring
here.
Salt on the wound that Blair Walsh
calmly connects to 20. That's when I knew it was completely and utter. I mean, not that I didn't think it was utterly funny when they have the Niners winning next year. No offense, guys,
exactly.
but yeah, this is a really funny read. Yeah, especially the stadiums. The stadiums are great.
Get better and better
as you get further and further down the line.
Toronto Argonauts versus the New York Giants at the Telepathic Media Network Stadium.
Can we talk about Super Bowl 57?
NFL CFL merger happens, and then the Toronto Argonauts win the Super Bowl.
And then we have Alabama playing in 2 Super Bowls.
Then the NFL and the SEC merge in 15 years, and then they win a title.
With Lane Kiffin at the helm. How is Monty Kiffin the defensive coordinator at 93?
The Super Bowl 70 is the Dublin Shamrocks versus the Sydney Tsunami. And this is on May 4th, by the way. That's when the game is played because there's now a 48-team playoff tournament in the NFL.
Is that why they need a Viagra stadium?
Ecstatic Shamrocks players dump a cooler of Guinness Stout on Brian Kelly, who's the coach of that team.
Whoever put this together, kudos.
Very, very well done.
Just the names of the teams and the fact that they thought about this and essentially wrote a story about how things were going to play out. Just there was one that had Tom Brady's sons squaring off against each other.
This is
what was it? Monahan and Tom Brady Jr.
I guess this was 69. Had the Giants and the Patriots in Wembley Stadium 3.
Why they got the Giants in so many Super Bowls?
Yeah.
Who is this guy?
Bridget Moynihan and Giselle going at it.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Wow.
The last one, Super Bowl 75, says that the kickoff temperature at Lambeau Field would be 125 degrees on June 30th.
Global warming.
But nevertheless, Rivers Romo passes for 292 and connects with 2 touchdowns for wide receiver Robert Griffin IV. Cleveland quarterback Benjamin Roethlisberger throws 3 touchdowns, including 2 to veteran tight end LeBron James Jr.
Could you imagine that? Like Roethlisberger's kid playing for the Browns? That would be like that's the funniest thing about this.
There might be some retribution.
Let's not forget about Cardale Jones throwing 330 yards for the veteran Monarch, the London Monarchs.
The London Monarchs.
Wait, that also says President Rob Gronkowski.
Yeah, at the very
at
end.
the Venetian Resort Dome in Las Vegas.
The final line of this post is training camp begins the following week, which this game was played on June 30th, for each of the league's 128 teams. So there you go.
Honestly, it's not that far-fetched.
You think? 25 years, they're going to add, what's the numbers on that?
I mean, the NFL,
teams?
they just love to just keep
That's
pouring
a
it
ton.
on.
All right, well, I thought that was interesting.
That's good. I like that.
Let's move on to the list this week, since we're still in the NFL. Fox Sports released the results of a survey, and I know how much JP loves Fox Sports. So this is a report from a survey from Public Policy Polling, and they polled people on what the most hated team in the NFL is. This one's not that big a surprise. I think the favorite team is more of a surprise. But who do you guys think is the new hated team in the NFL? 23% of fans polled said
New England?
The Patriots.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that's not surprising at all.
Cowboys dropping to second at number 20.
That's what happens when you all of a sudden suck.
27% of fans say that Cowboys do not deserve the designation America's team.
They don't.
Who even gave that to him in the first place?
They gave that to themselves.
27% of fans say they do.
No.
64% said they do not deserve that. All right, so the most popular team in the NFL. This is a list of like 6, and it's only 15% of people. What do you guys think it is?
Is it the Packers?
This isn't fun when you guess them right. All right, so the Packers is number 1. Number 2, this was a surprise to me.
So people in Wisconsin have a lot of time on their hands to vote in these useless surveys. All right.
Well,
Number
they all
2.
own the team, so they can do that.
This is the most popular team in the NFL.
Man.
Denver?
No. 13% said Carolina.
Oh. Well,
Really?
It could
All
also
the
it could
people
also
jumping
depend on
on
when this poll
bandwagon.
was done.
Yeah.
Right. 10% said the Cowboys. 9% the Steelers, and I was surprised by that.
I'm not surprised by the Steelers.
A lot of Pittsburgh transplants.
A lot of people in Pittsburgh don't have the internet.
8% for Denver, 7% for the Giants, and 6% for the Seahawks. And that means teams like the Redskins, the 49ers, I guess the Steelers on there, they're below 5%. It just seems surprising to me.
Yeah.
People in Capitol Hill got better things to do.
I suppose
This is where we insert
that's
that "I'm Only a Bill" song from Conjunction.
All right. Well, football season's over. Thank the Lord. That was a long 22 weeks or whatever it was. We're just
I miss it already.
Brandon, just start planning fantasy football programming now.
Yep.
Because that's going to start soon.
Already
Let's
on
turn
it.
to college basketball. We're headed towards the tournament. One team that will not be there are the Louisville Cardinals. They've self-imposed ban for Louisville. A self-imposed postseason ban for an investigation that's ongoing into the university, details of which involved, help me out with the details here, involved strippers and sex with players, et cetera.
That's all you really need to
Strippers and cocaine.
Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So now the question I had on this one, guys, Patino's kind of upset about this because the university decided to do it. Do you do it to save face and hopefully not get the hammer from the NCAA,
That's
or
exactly
do you?
why they did
No,
it.
I know that, but I'm
Yeah.
saying in your mind, should they have done that, or should they
No, it's not
have just
fair.
waited?
Not
I
fair.
thought he was mad because they did it without counseling him. Like, they didn't tell him.
Right.
They self-imposed the ban and then was like, oh, yeah, here's a press conference, and we're not going to the playoffs.
I don't think he was mad that they decided to punish themselves. It was how they punished themselves. I think it's the fact that obviously Patino really doesn't get hit by it at all. I mean, yeah, he doesn't get to coach the postseason this year, but he's done dozens of them before.
Yeah.
You know, the 2 kids who transferred were graduate transfers who came to Louisville for a chance to play in the tournament and go deep in March aren't going to have that opportunity now. You know, the president doesn't really get hurt by it. The athletic director maybe a little bit gets hurt by it, but really his point was, you know, take away my salary, take away something from the president, take away something from them instead of the kids who had nothing to do with it.
Especially because it was a few years ago.
Right. You know, and also for the fact that Patino can say he had no role in it and didn't know what was going on, I don't believe him on that. And really, I think that's why someone like him should pay. He should pay, the AD should pay, the president should pay rather than the kids.
Yeah.
He already paid the women.
Well, and it was an assistant. It was an assistant coach or an assistant
who's
to the
now
team,
left,
who's left, but then also got suspended from his current school too, right? So he's getting the hammer too. So unfortunately, they have no chance to be in the tournament, but they could still win a regular season conference title. I know, who cares?
And play spoiler.
I suppose. But I guess the question is, and if you were the university heads that made that call, would you have done it, or would you have waited for the hammer from the NCAA?
I think you got to wait for the hammer.
I agree.
Those kids might get punished, but like you're doing this mid-season, like that hammer would come down in the off season where kids would have a chance to maybe transfer to another school, or kids who are thinking about going there can change their mind and go somewhere else. Doing it in the middle of the season is pretty bush.
And this doesn't stop the hammer. Like, it doesn't stop the actual sanctions that could come 2 years from now when they have another 2-year postseason ban. So, any early favorites? What do you guys think of the college basketball field right now?
I've watched
Buddy Hield.
Oklahoma's deep. I've watched very little college basketball, to be honest with you. But
Oklahoma's a good squad, but
they've got a lot going for them.
There's a ton of teams. There's about 10 teams that could probably win it.
It might be double that. It might be 20.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so much balance.
You might have the year. This might be the year where you get multiple 4, 5, and 6 seeds in the
Final Four.
In the Final Four, and maybe even have like a 6 or a 7 win it all.
Yes,
just because there's so much parity.
I think I saw a stat over the weekend. I think it's like 6 teams have been number 1 already this year, compared to like 1 or 2 last year.
Nobody wants to hold on to that number 1 spot.
No, there's like 20 times that a top 5 team has lost to an unranked team. Something like that. I mean, It's just unbelievable the number of upsets that are occurring this year.
How's ASU doing?
Oh, ever since they got to conference, not so good.
How's USC doing?
They're actually top 25.
Georgetown is the team. And,
that's right. I forgot.
Struggling.
I forgot. Yeah.
You're lucky that they don't play ASU, Evan, because you know Georgetown will run them out of the building. Over here flailing his hand like the Hoyas wouldn't run those Sun Devils.
I just mean because you didn't take audits from them.
Right.
You still cheer for them. That's all.
Although you're from the East Coast.
Yeah.
Partially.
He's from there.
Yeah.
I was born and raised.
Evan's just a hater. That's all that is.
I give him the Georgetown one more than the SC one.
Yeah.
I can give him that one.
Well, I'll give
He
you
grew
that.
up there.
I'm teasing.
Well, San Jose State was leading UNLV at half last night. That's all I got for you.
Wow.
And I'm sure they lost.
Could San Jose State beat Boston College?
No. San Jose State
I
can't
watched
even
that
beat, like,
Boston College Carolina game the other day, and oh my God, I thought they were going to lose that game. And if that was the case, UNC should have imposed this self-imposed ban on this year's postseason. 'Cause if you lose to BC at home after losing the 2 games previous to that, you don't deserve to go to the tournament. That was bad.
All right. Well, we'll talk a lot more college basketball in the coming weeks as we get closer to conference tournaments and the big dance. In the NHL, Blackhawks coach Joel Quenneville stomps out of his presser after.
You just want to be like Cam, man.
Yeah, taking a note from Cam's book, I guess. He said, "I don't know the rules anymore," and this is in regards to a goalie interference call, which was against the San Jose Sharks. I know very little about this team, so. But anyway, I went back and looked at the replay a couple times, and I don't think it should have been a goalie interference call. But his antic was, I don't know the rules anymore, threw his hands up, and he walked out of a press conference. And this applies to all sports. Do you think coaches should be fined for the things they do in press conferences? Because
I think
coaches should be.
I think coaches should be hammered harder than players. I think he needs to. I mean, he's the coach. He sets the tone. Like, he's the face of the organization because, you don't talk to the owners or the GMs after every game. You talk to the coach. So, I get that sometimes your emotions get the best of you, but yeah, he's got to stand. I mean, it's one game. It's not like this is the playoff game. It's not Stanley Cup Finals or anything like that. Like, it's a regular season game, and you're still the Blackhawks. Like, you're still number 1 in the West. Just chill out, bro. Like, it's one call. I'm sure he's gotten plenty of calls that have gone the Blackhawks' way.
Oh, yeah, for
So,
sure. I mean, you have to get some just to win the Stanley Cup.
My Stars are playing them tonight. I'm sure there's going to be a call that goes against the Stars in favor of the Blackhawks tonight. So.
And Brandon's going to walk out of his living room.
And I'm going to walk out of my living room, throw my hands up.
I don't know what the rules are anymore.
I don't know what they are. JP, what are your thoughts on this? Anything?
I kind of like it when the coaches call out people. I want to hear that, as a Jesus Nice always says, got to hear both sides. So if you have a grievance and you want to air it out to the media, maybe one of the refs will actually step up and say why he blew said whistle, and we can debate it. instead of talking about, we're going to fine you for saying the refs suck. Well, the refs actually do suck. They suck pretty bad.
Pretty much every sport now.
Yeah. Football being the most prevalent.
Oh, yeah.
Like, hoop refs aren't terrible, but football easily has the worst refereeing in all the professional sports.
I don't trust any officiating in any sport nowadays. Like, it just, I go into every game that I watch knowing, okay,
The officials are
how
gonna
are the
decide this.
officials going to mess this up?
I mean, Canadian Football League lets you challenge the refs like one time a game. I think that's ingenious. Like, you can throw a flag on a ref, they go and review it, and somebody upstairs goes, actually, the referee is wrong. You know, that's pass
then how
interference.
many
Canada's got it figured out,
How
man.
many layers do you go, though? At some point, you throw the flag on the ref, then you throw the flag on the replay official, then you throw the flag on the NHL I don't know. You know what I mean? I'm with you. I think I don't have a problem with a coach airing it out and just saying, hey, I don't agree with you. I don't think you should be fined for that. But I also think if you are committed, it's part of your position to hold a post-game press conference, then you should do that. You know, and I guess he did. He answered one question.
Yeah.
This week's random shot, we're short on time, so we'll go through this. This was in complex.com. There's something about Chad Johnson. He used to soak his feet in urine to heal ankle
Is
sprains.
he Moises Alou?
He said complex like he's never heard of it before.
Complex.com.
Yeah.
Do you listen to Kanye?
Let's not go back to this.
Do you know
we
who
already know
Beyonce
the
is?
answer to that.
Yeezy season 3 came out today.
I want you to know, JP, that I'm trying to expand my music library to accommodate some of these conversations. But real quick, the random shot is if you can imagine what the worst thing you stepped in is.
Easily.
Go for it.
Dog feces.
Yeah.
That's it? That's the worst thing?
Well, I mean, what, like...
What does a regular person step in?
vomit?
I haven't
I think
stepped in
vomit's worse than
human
dog shit.
remains or anything
Nah.
like that. Like,
It'd have to be that. It'd have to be stepping on a dead body.
Yeah.
Like, I stepped in a carcass and they just changed my
what would
life.
you be
It was
willing-
still warm.
if you had a foot, I know this is kind of a weird one, but if you had a foot injury, how far would you be willing to go to heal that foot injury? Would you put your foot in urine?
I mean, it's a ton of soap and water at Chad Johnson's house, so I could see why he wouldn't trip off that.
Well,
But
because it's warm. Like if it's warm, it's it's not like it's pretty sanitary as
Sure.
a warm. So
I haven't seen the clip though. Like, what about it?
I don't know.
Has
There's
healing
like
power.
I don't know. Well, you know, Moises Alou used to pee on his hands.
Right, but that was to toughen it up. Like,
Well,
I get that.
Marquez, the boxer, drank his urine. If you've ever
Yeah.
been scuba diving, what's the first thing your instructor says before you go in the water? Pee on your wetsuit, and then you fall in.
Yeah.
So the urine thing isn't. I mean, it would have been different if you said like, "Hey, Chad Johnson just rubbed like horse manure on his face to clear his skin up." Like that's the issue. But like the urine thing, like I granted it's weird.
Yeah.
I don't think that's egregious by any stretch. I'm sure people have done worse.
Yeah.
All right. Well, if you want to check this out, he was on with Mike and Mike in the morning, and he just said he used to use urine to
Complex.
complex.com. Real quick, we did have some interaction from the fans this week. We had a YouTube comment from Francisco saying he was inspired by Rupp. This is our episode from last week when we talked about Galen Rupp. Until I heard about him doping, what do you guys think about that? Any concerns about the doping?
Hey man, the Olympics is the biggest stage
I know.
ever. This is like Cam in the Super Bowl. I'm sad that he got caught, but I'm pretty sure that everybody else is trying to get a competitive advantage.
Yeah,
so
Just like cycling.
I'm not gonna fault him for it. Just it's unfortunate that he didn't take the proper precautions to get away with it. If you're not,
It's
cheating,
only cheating if you get caught.
yeah, you're not. If you're not cheating, you're not trying. So
Any thoughts on that elsewhere, Ev?
It happens to too many guys in the Olympics. Too
Yeah.
many guys and women in the Olympics, especially if you're Russian. So it doesn't bother me.
All right.
wow, he got something against the Russians.
We did have Olympic predictions from our good friend Andy Behrens, who tweeted at the Bullpen Pod his marathon trial predictions.
Oh jeez.
Meb, Rutz,
Make sure we
Witz,
save this.
Meb, Rupp, Ritz for the men. And
Rupp,
then
Ritz.
women, Linden, Flanagan, Burla. So for those of you that were
Let's-
tuning
let's
back
mark
in
that
for
down.
more Olympic
Let's mark that
predictions,
down,
you
and
got
so
him
we
now.
can check
The
back in
Meb,
August.
the Meb dude is tight because he's old. He's an OG. He's 40. So I guess if
2 hours,
Yeah,
10
you won
minutes,
Boston a
25.
couple years
if
ago.
Rupp
Just a
wanted to
second.
get the competitive advantage over a 40-year-old OG who was 10 years his senior, hey man, you do what you got to do.
All right. Well, please tweet at us and email us at the Bullpen Pod and
We should do that at the
bullpenpodcast
beginning of
at
the thing from now on.
gmail.com.
Yeah.
And we had no Ask JP submissions. Look how sad he is.
Cliff, Lawrence, you guys are now on the degenerate friend list.
And lastly, as we wrap up the show,
Yeah.
we got another care package here
From said Andy
from
Behrens.
said Andy Behrens.
We'll let you get
Let's-
it, Dan.
Let's open it up.
From complex.
What is he gonna like? Is it a bunch of like?
If you're watching on YouTube,
is it a bunch of running shorts?
YouTube,
Are we
you
gonna
can
have to
see what
wear
we're
them?
doing
Like,
here. This is from Andy Evans doing the honors,
I
opening the
hope
box.
not.
What's in the box? Here it comes.
7, if you haven't seen it.
He tweeted, said he has updated his sponsorship. Let's see.
Evan's got to hit the gym.
Oh, the suspense. Oh, the suspense.
Come on, Nick
What do we
Collison.
got?
Oh, fingers, baby.
Iowa foam fingers for all.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, and it's got the 3 fingers up. Three. All right, well, thanks for checking us out this week on the Bullpen Podcast.
Oh, wow.
Basketball. All right,
Wow.
We're back on the Iowa bandwagon for the college basketball season. Good shot, Andy. One of our
This fool Evan over here being slick nasty. I'm not gonna go and just see that.
Go to YouTube.
Wow.
Go to YouTube. About the 31-minute mark. Check it out.
Yo, Iowa 3 fingers?
We'll wait for a response from Andy on that. Oh dear.
Somebody say something, Hawkeye Nation.
All right, that's going to do it for this edition of the Bullpen. Please keep in touch with us. We'll be back in a couple weeks, and we'll get more into college basketball, etc. Thanks for tuning in.
What does 3 fingers mean?
I don't know.
I mean, at least the shocker's cool.
Later, Ito.
I love it.
Iowa, wow.
I love it.
This cat Barons.
It's even like the appropriate way
Thanks,
of
brother.
doing like the 3.
Oh, unless you're German.
Yeah.
Like if you're gonna symbol the 3, like for the win.
Somebody's got to.
You think Andy actually spends more on shipping and handling than he does on the
On the actual gift.
Oh, Barons.
This is nuts.
Thanks, Barons. That's good stuff, man.
Be safe, sir.
All right.